Nelson, alcoholic addict. That's not my real name. That's my pen name that I use. Been reading quite a bit the past few days about how September is Recovery Month, and that's great. I celebrate. I love the idea that we can shine a light on the possibility that you can stop drinking or drugging if you want and go get sober. So, but I found myself gravitating towards some of the statistics about overdose deaths and how alcohol sales have been up a lot the last 2 years. And, um, so I always try to spend some time thinking about the beautiful people that I've loved over the years who we lost. And I went to a meeting once where a guy closed the meeting by saying, um, that let's think about all those who today picked up their first drink and also those who picked up their last drink. And it was haunting then, and it remains haunting to me every day that there's people out there who are just starting their career as an alcoholic, and then there's other people that are ending their career as alcoholics. So, but I also had to snap myself back to what I think the larger message of this month should be for me, which is focusing on the word recovery, not addiction. And I often think about the many different ways my active addiction could have ended in 2008. One is that I died, that I overdosed and died, or got in a car accident, something. Another is that I got arrested and went to prison, or I got institutionalized somewhere where I got locked up. And another is what's happened so far, which is that I went to rehab. I fell in love with 12-step programs. I liked being sober. I liked it. And so I've stayed in the rooms for my entire sobriety. But there's also a version of my life that it scares the crap out of me, to be honest, where I went to rehab, I sobered up, and then I stopped participating in recovery. So in that version of my life, I'm abstinent from drugs and alcohol, which is awesome. But I wouldn't have ever gotten any better, or I wouldn't be trying to get any better. I wouldn't be spiritually fit. I wouldn't be recovering. I would just be a dry drunk. And that is a miserable proposition. Like, nobody wants that, believe me. I know that because even on the path that I've landed on, I still have moments where I don't do any work, or I missed some meetings, or I've retreated from my sober network. I don't make any phone calls. I start to become a jerk. I really do. It takes like a couple of days, maybe a week, for me to all of a sudden I'm like 50% more argumentative, combative, difficult, gossipy, judgmental. I have no higher power. I've drifted from that. I'm angry, and I'm also very sure of myself. I get very sure that I'm right about stuff the more I drift from meetings and doing work. And I often think about that recovery phrase of contempt prior to investigation. It begins to come true when I'm drifting. And so I'm gonna celebrate Recovery Month, not I didn't drink or drug month. Like, I want to celebrate Recovery Month because I think it's just better for me. And I'll give you a funny example from my life recently. I was home with my 6-year-old. It was a weekend, and it was just me and her, and I decided to clean out the refrigerator. And it takes about 10 minutes. It's totally disgusting. And right as I was winding down, my daughter popped into the kitchen and asked me to come outside. She wanted to show me a cartwheel in the backyard. And I said, sure, I'd love to see that. Just give me like 10 seconds. I just gotta finish this up. So she stood beside me as I cleaned out weird green shit from the back of the refrigerator that it used to be food and now it was not. And she stood there and she counted down from 10. I was not done yet. So when she got to 1, she started over again. 10, 9, 8. So I'm there dry heaving at stuff from 3 Halloweens ago in the back of a refrigerator, and that was very irritating to me. I felt my head starting to explode a little bit. And the dry version of me that doesn't get to meetings or anything, I yell at her, and it'll make me feel better for a little bit, and then I'll feel bad about it later. And then there's the sober version of me that I wish I will be when I grow up someday. There's that version of me that has a very nice, calm conversation with her about being patient, that I want to see the cartwheel, but I need to finish what I'm doing, and we need to be patient. The sober version of me that actually exists I spotted it right away that I am 83% too annoyed at this nagging kid to have that perfect version of a sober conversation. So I know what to do now, which is like it's perfectly acceptable to walk out of the room, take 10 deep breaths, and come back 30 seconds later. So when I did that, I realized that I could go out in the backyard and take a quick look at this cartwheel, enjoy it, breathe in some fresh air instead of the moldy food that I'd been huffing for the past 10 minutes, and that I could come back in and then finish. So that's what I did. And that's recovery. That's recovery to me. And that's what I'll be thinking about this month. So thanks for letting me share.